You're listening to or watching the Creative Assembly Podcast, a podcast about creatives and their process for creatives who want to make stuff. Hi, I'm Sine, and I write shows about religion, sing songs about dildos, and make up stuff in front of audiences to show people that it is possible to create a life that's rad. On this show, you'll learn all about other people's creative processes so that you can discover your own. Step one is easy. All you got to do is sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Today, I am interviewing Hiro Ikematsu, an incredible film editor, a radio DJ, and so much more, but I will let him tell you. In today's episode, we'll break down why saying what you need from others is important to do your best work, the number one most important aspect of the creative process that most creatives forget, what Spike Lee said about Hiro's work, and the social experiment every single editor should participate in. All that and so much more in today's episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my interview series with amazing creatives. I have someone very special to me on the video chat with me right now. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell everybody what you do?
Hi, I am Hiro, Hiro, and I work at Wieden & Kennedy as an editor, and sometimes I do radio stuff as well. Specifics notwithstanding, it's just a bunch of random shit. Yeah.
What made you get into editing?
I love movies. I love films. I used to want to be a director and did a bunch of that when I was younger, and realized during the process that I enjoyed editing the most. So focused on that.
What is it about editing that you love so much?
I don't know. It has something to do with being one of the arms that brings the whole production together, and you're kind of writing in a post-writing stage, which is kind of fun because I'm not a writer, but I like to tell stories visually, and I think that process appealed to me the most as an editor. Yeah,
that was something that I was actually thinking about the other day, because I was realizing there's technically more than one writer on a film, in my opinion, because there's obviously the original writer, and then if that was adapted from a story, then there's the screenwriter. Yeah. And then I consider the director as sort of a version of a writer, but it's visual in its format.
Agreed. Yeah.
And then the editor is like the final writer, and the composer.
Yeah. The writing of the sound, if you will. Yeah. And also the sound recorder, if you want to bring that in. if you want to get into details, yeah. But to be honest, though, I feel like the director is not much of a writer, but he's more of the guy that brings all the writers together. You know, like if you're to say like writing is the art form of that specific aspect of filmmaking, right? Like then the cinematographer is the writer of the visuals, and the art director is the writer of the set, set designer, and the editor is the writer of the sequence of the pictures that you see before you, right? And then the director brings all that together, and it makes sense of all of that. Yeah. Right. So I don't know. He's the editor of the writer.
Director is the editor of the writer. That's a good one. I like that.
I don't know.
I never thought about it that way.
I just came up with that.
Well, you're a genius. It took me a while before I learned how I understood editing, and it was another editor that was just like, actually what people don't understand is how differently the story will end up playing out based on how it's edited.
Yeah.
And there was I had written some stupid sketch. Hey, kitty. I had written some stupid sketch a long time ago that was fine. You know what I mean? Like the writing was fine. Yeah. And then I gave it to my friend to edit, and it became really funny after that.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like editing comedy is like one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah.
And it's just so intuitive, and it's something that you have to build experience with and I don't know. I think it's one of those things that it doesn't come naturally unless you're just like, you have that funny bone in your body.
Yeah. Well, like you've edited some funny stuff.
I mean, I try to, but sometimes it's also subjective, right? So sometimes what I think is funny is not necessarily funny to other people, or that they don't get it, right? I mean, obviously, like technically there's like this comic timing and stuff like that, and like when to cut from one line to another to maximize that funniness. But I don't know, sometimes it's just inherent in the way you are as a person that comes out in the edit, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I would classify your editing. I've seen some of it, and it's funny to me. So when you're obviously trying to be funny, not not unintentionally.
No, but the thing is, my whole life when I'm growing up, like people have been laughing at me and not with me. I've been the butt of a joke many a times in my life.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now they're laughing with you, and now you're laughing at them because you're like, look, bitch.
Yeah, bitch.
Like, Spike Lee told me I was amazing. So.
Yes and no.
What?
he digs my... No, okay. So I'm not going to put words in his mouth. You did. It's not me.
I did that. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to take credit for that. But yes, he's probably seen my work before.
But what did he say exactly?
This is relayed from probably 2 sources removed from him. So in the email, it said, Spike Lee digs it.
Spike Lee digs it. Y'all heard it here first.
Yeah.
Spike Lee digs Hiro's work. Was there a turning point for you when you knew that you could do editing for a living? Or was it something that you were just like, kind of playing around with? It was fun, and then you just like happened into it? Or like, how did that sort of process work for you?
It was when I was in Tokyo and I was working at a production company, and my goal was to direct, or like to do everything. Yeah. I was like 20 or like 19 actually. And when you're 19, you're like super motivated to do anything.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do everything. And so I did everything. Yeah. So I was like, I directed, I was also a cameraman, I produced, I wrote my own shit. And, eventually when you're working at a production company, you start applying these things into real jobs, or like real client facing work. And so I did everything and probably exhausted myself very early on. And doing all that, I started realizing I enjoyed the time I was editing the most. Mm. Like I like from that moment, like I started phasing out the things I didn't like. So I stopped shooting, stopped being cameraman, stopped DPing. And I was taking photos less and less as well. And I just like enjoyed editing the photos that I already took.
Yeah.
And like changing them. And then, like, and also editing was like way more in demand as well at the time. I think now still as well.
Yeah.
To do that. So yeah, I don't know. It kind of just like naturally evolved into that.
What is it about editing that you like so much more than, let's say, like directing or DPing or any of that?
As unceremonious as it sounds, it's really just a question of comfort as well. And like I like having a routine of just sitting in front of my desk and on my computer and working at my own pace and not having to have to be around people too much. Like it's not that I don't like people, it's just I like being in an enclosed space and being left to my own devices to do the work that's requested of me, instead of like having a ton of pressure, always people yammering in my ear and stuff like that. I mean, like that's also like fun, like to play against that pressure.
Yeah.
It has its moments for sure, but it's not that I'm like a super anxious person, but it's high anxiety work, you know, directing and shooting and stuff like that. And I don't know, I'm an easygoing guy, I guess. So I prefer it, and also I just feel like it's more attuned with my personality, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's
just
funny
like
that
the inherent scope of the work. So
yeah. Well, it's funny that you say you kind of like being closed off, which I feel like probably is more often than not you have that, right? You get like you kind of get to be in your own space with your work.
Yeah, I dictate how I work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like I don't have to, yeah, I don't have to follow someone else's guidelines of how to operate in my workspace. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When we were working on the other day and I was watching you in the room with all of the, you know, the creative directors and everybody's in there.
Yeah.
To me that seemed like probably not, I'm assuming not normal for everybody to kind of be in the room while you're editing at the same time. Or is that the case?
I mean, it depends on the situation. Like when
Okay.
you were there, we were in like edit number 6 or 7 or something, right? Version number 6 or 7. And there was a presentation that day, as far as I remember.
Yeah.
And so it was crunch time, like hell. Like it was like, okay, we have 2 hours to get this edit out. Let's get it out. So in order to maximize efficiency, everyone's there to comment on stuff when I'm ready for them to, you know. So it's like as soon as okay, we got this part done. What do you think? It's like, yeah, so and so, it's good, but change this and that, and then I can address those changes right away, rather than like set up a meeting, wait for them to come to finish their other meetings, and then, you know, it's just half of my job is waiting sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Waiting for approval. Yeah. And so if you shorten that time, then you get a lot done. In those situations, like I'm also good at compartmentalizing, so I can like shut that out of my mind and just like focus on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then when I'm ready, I'll speak again. You know, I'll shut off from everyone, and then I'll be back when I'm ready.
How do you do that?
I don't try to be rude to other people, but I'm also adamant about how I work. So if something is not to my liking, I'll express it. You know, it's like I need to be in my element in order to put out the best work, right? And so you need to help me do that, is my approach to it.
Yeah.
So if you're not letting me work in my most comfortable way, then obviously the product that eventually comes out isn't to anyone's liking. So if it's a team effort, which it normally is, then yeah, they'll understand that this is my process. This is how I work.
Yeah.
So I'll just be like, you know, if someone asks me a question while I'm zoned in, then I probably won't answer, you know, or like it'll take me 5 minutes later till I answer or something. But I'm usually like this, tunnel vision.
If you could design your creative environment, like the ideal version of your creative environment, what would that look like? And like go into detail, like what would be in there? What colors? What would there be any smells? Like what would be in your ideal environment?
To be honest, like what I have up there in the 4th floor is pretty close. I mean, like I'm making minor adjustments to make it be more of what I'm, you know, what my perfect suite would look like. But basically, yeah, maybe. Okay, so if you use what I have in my room as a template right now.
And can you describe that for people who don't know what that looks like?
Okay, so it's like a maybe 10 square meter room size, high ceilings, big windows that, you know, basically go from your waist all the way up. 2 big windows actually, so you get a lot of light, right?
Yeah.
There's a desk in the middle, sort of perpendicular to the window wall. with 2 screens, and then a leather couch that faces towards the table with a TV in between so that people can watch. And on the far side, there's a couple chairs and a bunch of records and recently installed mini basketball hoop.
Yes, very
the
important.
only annoying thing is that people have to like pass through my room to get to certain rooms, to get to Scotty's room, for example. And yeah, that sucks. It's the price I pay for having the best room in the office.
You do have a pretty sweet room. Is there anything missing from that room that you would add?
I mean, it's just because like there's like a couple artworks, right? So there's like an 8.5 poster on the far wall, and my Fuzz Aldrin poster behind me, which is for everyone listening who doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Everyone knows Buzz. Everyone knows Buzz Aldrin, right? The astronaut. Yeah. He went to space a few years ago. Yeah, kind of famous. There's this guy who runs a website called Cats on Synthesizers in Space. In case you didn't know that, most people who do music are super into cats, and people who are super into cats are inherently into synthesizers, and people who are into synthesizers are into space. So Cats on Synthesizers in Space, which is like a completely, like, it ticks all the boxes, you know, it's totally normal. So
amazing.
This poster is made by Cats on Synthesizers in Space, and it's basically like, you know, those astronaut yearbook photos?
Yeah.
They're basically like just a really glossy photo of them in their gear. Yeah.
With like a flag, like flags back here.
Yeah, except it's like, no, it's a yearbook type background.
You know okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, and they're just like.
Yeah, exactly. So it's that, except the face is a cat, and the hands are paws, and for some reason he's carrying a synthesizer, a synth, and his name tag, instead of Buzz Aldrin, it says Fuzz Aldrin.
Love it. And this is very important to your creative process, I take
it. Yes. Oh, it's it grounds me. And the thing is, it's not complete because I need to frame that shit. They all need to be framed. It's just like kind of hanging out on the wall, like being susceptible to all the germs outside. You know, it needs to be protected. So
yeah, it does. Don't want your poster catching coronavirus.
Exactly. Yeah. That's my main concern right now. If I were to add anything else, like I have really good monitor speakers. They're called Genelecs. They're extremely powerful and they're good for me. But when we're reviewing, it's not as good for other people because it's only facing me. So I would soundproof the shit out of the room. And I would also get more speakers. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe like a weed rolling station.
Ooh.
Rolling station. Yeah.
Can you edit while you're high?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't, but I could get very carried away if I edit when I'm high. I don't know if you've ever like taken Adderall or anything, but when you do, you concentrate so hard onto one thing that you're just like flying. You get so much work done, and it's like just it's so I don't know. It cancels everything outside that you're just like you're zoned in so hard. A bad example of being high while editing is like you get too caught up on like super minor details that really don't matter.
Yeah.
And then you can like fall into, you know, one of the you can get into a weird place for that. So if you can avoid those pitfalls, then it's super good for me.
Yeah. Any particular strains that help you sort of like zone in?
Definitely would work better with a sativa. If it was like any indica, would probably just go into the latter of what I was talking about. You know, the former of what the latter of what I was talking about, where you just like start focusing on weird details that don't matter. Yeah.
So I would love to see you take something that you've cut, do it when you're like not high, do one version, another version when you're on sativa, and then another version when you're on indica.
That's a really good experiment. That's a great social experiment, which I'd be happy to participate in.
Yes. When you edit, do you have a particular process that you sort of do, or does it, like, how does that work for you whenever you have something you need to edit?
Yes. So it's like going macro to micro. You have to do like the bigger things first, and then you get to, so like importing the footage, you know, it requires to being super organized in how you structure everything so that you know where everything is. So later on, when you're like going deep into minor details, that you know where everything is, which starts with an organization of your file structure. That's really important. So Scotty and I made like a folder template to give to people when starting a new project. Very helpful. But in terms of like the technical parts of editing, for me, when I have a script and music, then I'm ready to go. And for testing with music, I'll usually make my own recommendations because I have strong feelings about music that we use. But usually if we have if we're doing something with like VO, for example, and I have a particular piece of music that I'm very happy with, then usually everything kind of falls together very quickly. But if we don't have that in place, then there's no central theme that kind of connects everything together, which makes it a little bit harder. It's still obviously doable, but yeah, I feel like music really drives my creative process.
So it's like for you then, if you were to sort of break it down into phases, loose phases, phase one would be organize your shit.
Yeah.
And that seems to be a huge chunk of your creative process, is organizing your shit.
Yeah, well, it's more about like maintaining my own sanity. You know, otherwise it's not gonna be happy days after that. Which I've had experience with. So it comes from like having not organized, and then so I've learned from my own mistakes. You know?
Yeah.
Okay, I've been doing this for like 12 years now. 12 years or something like that now. So
yeah. What was the final straw?
It was more like a buildup of little things that led me to it, but I kind of realized what I was doing in terms of organizing was very helpful when someone else was not being organized and they passed the project on to me.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this is a shit show, you know? and then you're like, oh my God, thank God I do it like the way I do it now, because if I did the way he did it now, I would just drive me crazy. So I don't know. It's just like, it was a confirmation of, this is the right way to do it. And also, you know, like editors that I admire, like directors, you know, you read books about how their creative process is, and it's just very much like that, you know, like they have to be organized from the very beginning in order to make their lives easier afterwards.
Yeah.
Common sense, really.
You would think common sense, but I feel like most people who are creative don't learn that skill for a very long time. And it's usually, because we've done it the other way and been miserable.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you have someone to do it for you, which is hardly the case, because I don't know. I feel like it's overlooked a lot because people don't see it as part of like the creation part. But it totally is.
So then how would you classify like what for you is considered the creation phase? Like, because I know some people like to, like they have a creation phase and then they have like an execution phase, and this seems to be a trend. What do you put in the box of creation, and what do you put in the box that's not creation, and what do you call that box? Or is all of it a part of creation? How do you define it?
All of it is definitely part of the creation. I mean, okay, so my background is in filmmaking, right? And like when you're doing like a feature film or like a short film or whatever, every step of the way is one step closer to making that film a reality or like a finished product. So like, yes, it's the creation process starts with the writing, and then it's the shooting.
Yeah.
And then it's the editing. And then, and then there's the post stuff. So like grading and sound mixing and stuff like that. Obviously all part of the creation process.
Yeah.
That is the bulk of it.
Yeah.
Right. But I see it more of as the different chapters of the process, of the creation process. And everything in between is still part of the process. So it's still part of the creation, even if it's like admin stuff, or if it's scheduling, or if it's, casting or whatever. I mean, this is where you get philosophical with it, but it's like, at what point is the line where it stops being creation and, and where is the other line for, the non-creation parts. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's all integral to the final product. So why can't everything be the creation? I don't know if that answers your question, but
it does answer my question, because I think everybody has their own definitions because it works for them. But it's nice. I tend to lean more in your view of all of it is as equally important as the rest of it, because you need it in order to move from one step to the next step.
Yeah.
And
yeah. I mean, yeah, you need everything. So any weak link in the chain is like going to be detrimental to the final product. So
yeah,
make sure everything is good.
In a perfect world, what would your morning routine and evening routine look like? And then in the real world, what does your morning routine and your evening routine look like?
Wait, is this like a perfect world of a work day?
In whatever day, in your perfect world, let's say the world, everything's perfect. And maybe you're working, maybe you're not, but what would be your like morning routine in a perfect world?
Wow, well, shit, man. If I didn't have to work, well, I mean, I would just like sit and watch movies all day. I would wake up and like I would just sit in front of the TV, and maybe once in a while like go out and hang out with friends, and then come back home, smoke weed, and then watch movies all night.
Yes.
Yeah. And listen to music as well.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
So then in reality, what does your morning routine look like? Or day?
Wake up, brush my teeth, and then I go to work. I bike to work, which is also nice if it's a nice day.
Yeah.
I get into the office. I get my coffee. I don't know. I just like warm up for like 20 minutes to a half an hour, and then my workday starts.
Yeah.
And then I'll get home. If I'm efficient, if I'm feeling good, I'll go to the gym, which I hate to do because I don't like working out. I don't like running. I do it, but I do it begrudgingly. to keep myself healthy. And so I'll look forward to my meals of the day the most, right? So lunch, I don't eat breakfast anymore, but I eat lunch heartily, and I'll come home and I'll cook dinner with the wife, and we'll sit down and watch some TV, maybe a movie, and I'll smoke a joint at the end of the night before I go to bed, and that's it.
That does your end of your day actually sounds very similar to your ideal day.
It is. It's very similar, and it's almost exactly the same, and it's by design.
Oh, life by design.
Yes. How many people get to say that? To be honest, like, I have a pretty good life. Like, I don't complain about what I do or how and stuff that I do. It's like, sometimes the work might not be as exciting as I hope for it to be, but you know what? Like, life has to give you fucking cake all the time, you know? Stop being a bitch. You know?
Stop being a little bitch.
Yeah.
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 No,
so,
I totally understand.
Yeah. But I'm going to have like a baby like this week or next. So that's going to change everything.
Wait, what? Back up.
Well, I thought you knew that. Oh.
No, I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Wait, so you're going to be a dad?
Yeah.
Okay, first baby?
First baby, yeah.
Holy shit.
Second baby if you count the cat, but yeah.
First human baby.
First human baby, yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, I have so many more questions. How are you guys dealing with all of this craziness in the middle of the fact that you're about to have a baby?
Day by day. You know, it's I don't know. I mean, we're taking very precautionary measures, like paranoia level precautionary measures.
What are some? What are some of the paranoia?
Just like being like, you know, like we always talk about social distancing and keeping a fair distance away from others, but we take it super seriously. And like, you know, over the weekend we go grocery shopping and take walks around in the house because we can't just stay in the house all fucking day, right?
Yeah.
So we do, but we are extremely disciplined about the distance we keep from others. And you know, we run into a bunch of people, you know, like on the streets and say hi and stuff like that. But like, normally I, you know, hug, hey, what's up, and talk for like a few minutes, but it's more like, hello, from like way over there, and then not talk, even though I haven't seen that person for like a couple months or something, you know? And like, my wife makes me like hold pieces of paper to open doors with, you know, or like she'll like rip a piece of paper from a magazine so that I have to use that to open doors and shit.
It works.
I didn't use it to lift the garbage can the other day, and she yelled at me for it.
Do you have to wash your hands after that?
Oh, of course, yeah. And she carries like two hand sanitizers, two different types of hand sanitizers. In times when they're so rare, she has two. And she told me off for not wearing a scarf the other day, which is fair enough. Yes.
Yeah.
So every little bit helps, and I'm still lacking in many areas. Which,
I think we all are.
You know, but yeah, it's okay. I mean, we're such homebodies anyways that we're kind of like built for self-quarantine. So it's okay.
Yeah. What about
we keep ourselves entertained?
Yeah. How do you do that?
We just watch a lot of TV. And you know, like, I like watching movies like any other person, and so does she. And like, to be forced to do that is like, yeah, it's fine.
Oh, I guess.
Totally go with that. If you're twisting my arm, you know, I'll do it.
Top 5 movie recommendations right now.
We watched this really funny movie the other day called Pop Star.
Yeah.
Never stopping.
Yeah, with Brooklyn Nine-Nine guy. What's his name?
Yeah, Andy Samberg.
Thank you.
Adam Samberg. Andy
Adam.
or Adam? Adam. Andy.
One of them.
I don't know. It
One
could
of
be.
them.
Yeah. Super good. I was really, really surprised about how much I enjoyed it. It's exactly like Brooklyn Nine-Nine comedy taken to like huge Hollywood production levels.
Oh, great. I'm going to love it then.
It's so funny. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so unique as well. It's like a totally different kind of comedy, which I can get down with. I'm just going to say Mindhunter is probably my favorite show on Netflix.
It's so good.
Yeah, so good. It's just, I mean, I'm a huge David Fincher fan in general. He's one of my favorite directors ever. And that is like epitome of a David Fincher TV show. You know what I mean? Like,
okay. How so for you?
Mostly how nothing is wasted. Like every frame, every shot, every moment is purposeful, and it's essential to the story.
Yeah.
You know, that he's telling, and it's like everything is set up so that it builds tension and it moves the story forward, and you're just like engrossed in it the whole time, you know. And the actors are amazing, and I don't know, it's all around. I think it's amazing.
Nice.
And that's like a quality of David Fincher, right? It's like he just does it so well, and effortlessly. It's like Zodiac made into a TV show, but with like with all different types of like Fight Club and Panic Room type of tension building, and girl with dragon tattoo type mystery, and Zodiac type of mystery. Yeah, I don't know. And really compelling characters like from Gone Girl, and like you know, it's just all around amazing. Also, we rewatched Harry Potter's from 5 to 7.
Yes.
So good.
They're so good.
And you know, if you're trying to binge on something that's like not so heavy, but also familiar, but also entertaining and also fantastical, then it's kind of perfect.
Yeah.
Unless you've watched it too many times, which a lot of people have.
I don't know that you can watch Harry Potter too many times.
You can if you watch it and then you watch it again.
Okay.
Right afterwards.
Then you're like, all right, maybe we need a break from Harry Potter.
Yeah. But always a safe series to come back to. You know what pisses me off? They took Modern Family out of Netflix.
What? But they didn't even show the last season.
I know they didn't, and so at least in Holland, in Amsterdam, they don't have it anymore. Which like it was like my go-to thing whenever like we sit down to watch TV for dinner or something like that. That was it. That was it.
Okay, I'm gonna write a letter to Netflix. I don't even know if they accept letters anymore. But they're thinking a strongly worded letter.
Do it. I'll sign it at the bottom.
It'll be a petition. I'm gonna send it around.
A petition with signatures all on one page.
Yeah.
Because you have to conserve, right? Trees
safe
for
paper.
The environment. Yeah.
It'll front and
but
back.
You still want to be organic.
Yeah, exactly.
You still want to. Yeah.
Oh.
It's a conundrum.
What's a conundrum? I have a recommendation for you, which I keep telling everybody. I'm very obsessed with it right now.
Yes.
And I haven't even finished it. If you like weirdo, bizarre, sort of reality type shows, but that are really like well told stories.
Yeah.
Tiger King.
Oh, we're watching that right now. Watching that right now.
It's so good.
Actually, we just finished episode 1 yesterday, and we're gonna continue today. So, dude, yeah. Whoa. How out of this world is that shit?
Hiro, it gets crazier. I'm telling everybody about it. It's so good.
Yeah, I was like telling people about the first episode. I'm just like, there's nothing like it. There's nothing quite like it. Oh my God.
Keep watching. It's going to blow you. It's going to blow you.
What's the subline? Tiger King, murder, mystery.
I don't even know.
Oh, shit, right? Yeah.
You don't even need it. Tiger King is enough.
Tiger King. True.
Oh my God.
It's so cool. Yeah. I'm quite happy about all the documentaries that are out on Netflix right now. Actually.
So good.
Yeah.
Okay. I have one final round of questions.
Yeah.
And it is completely ripped from the Inside the Actor Studio with James Lipton. I'm going to ask you 10 questions, and your job is to just answer with the first thing that comes up. And you do not have to give explanation for your answers. What is your favorite word?
I have one, and I just forgot it. Hold on.
Take your time.
It's such a cool word. No, dude, I forgot. For now, let's just say blue.
What's your least favorite word?
God damn it. Guesstimate.
What turns you on?
Like,
however you want to think of what that means, it's up to you.
Smell of garlic with olive oil.
Good one.
In a fry pan. Yeah.
What turns you off?
Many words string together without any meaning, but for the sake of trying to sound smart or cool.
What sound or noise do you love?
I like the sound of really well-mastered music coming out of really high-end sound system.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Like screechy noises, whether that comes from things on walls or things on plates, forks and knives on plates, or from people.
What is your favorite curse word?
Fuck.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I've always been fascinated by like lorry drivers or like bus drivers. Ooh. Like in Hong Kong, we have double-decker buses, and so in the UK as well. Yeah. And that just blows my mind. It like, whoa. Yeah, that impresses me so much.
You're so
I
good.
could never do it, but I'd be like, whoa. I'm just impressed. It's like a show every time, you know?
Yeah. I always get nervous that it's going to like hit something, and then it doesn't.
Yeah. And it does sometimes, but yeah. I mean, there's like, it hits like branches and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that.
That's to be expected.
That's fun.
Though.
And it's fun when it happens. Have you ever sat at the front seat of a double-decker bus, like at the very front? And it's like flat, you know? So you're literally like, you can peer out into the streets.
I love it.
It's mind-blowing. Yeah.
That's fun. My favorite seat on the double-decker buses.
Yeah.
So. What profession would you not like to do?
I would not like to produce. To be a producer. Yeah.
I love how close that is to your job, though.
It is. I mean, that's why it's like it hits here very hard. It's like, oh man, every time I'm like, oh man, I'm so glad I don't do that job.
If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Welcome. You can do God's view on your life and anyone else's life you choose to look at for all of eternity. You can relive the best moments of your life as many times as you want for it's the first time ever.
Oh, that's so nice.
Like, yeah, that's my idea of heaven. You can either be the person that experienced it or see it objectively or however, or you can just hang out in heaven and it's like a clubhouse.
Hiro, that's all my questions.
Well, thank you for asking them. I hope they were okay. The answers are okay.
Oh, it was perfect. Thank you.
It was fun, though. It was fun.
That concludes our interview. For those of you who tuned in, thanks so much for listening and watching. Stick around. There will be more interviews coming up at some point. I don't have dates set for them, but they will be happening.
He promises, though.
I do promise they will be happening. Otherwise, I'm going to say bye to everybody here. So thanks for being here.
and catch you next time. Bye.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening or watching. If you enjoyed this episode, let me know over on Instagram @SaneATX. And hopefully you'll take what you've learned today and use it to create something of your own, because you owe it to yourself and to us to put your ideas out into the world. Thanks again.